We should come up with like an intro thing that we do when we start.
Yeah, like a sound off that we memorize.
Yeah. Like, hey, welcome to Quizzicast with, like, my name's Logan, and this is Sandy.
Why am I a redneck? Again, I'm loud. Okay.
Why not? The roles are distributed randomly.
Okay.
And it's different every week.
Or like you go like, hey, my name's Matt, I'm Logan, and this is Sandy, and this is Quizzicast episode 26 or whatever. Today is July 30th, 2018. 28th episode. 30th of July, though. That's two more numbers than the episode.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Is there anything notable that happens at age 28? Not really. We kind of passed by all the
1 year death anniversary of a famous musician.
Oh yeah. We passed by all the notable years already. Like 21 is legal drinking age in America.
Right.
19 is you can vote now. Right?
Wait, what? Is
No,
it
or is
6,
19,
also
18 is vote.
18 is vote. 19 is legal drinking in Canada.
Canada.
Yeah, well, BC.
BC,
Yes,
yeah.
18 in
Different
Alberta. Yeah.
Yeah. Nothing exciting is happening this episode.
Well, it's
what I've decided.
No, we just have
Thanks for
27 to
joining
look
us.
forward to when we die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this is in fact episode 28
Yeah.
of Quizzicast. Welcome one and all.
Hi.
It's hot as balls in this room.
It's not as hot as everywhere else I've been in my life for the past 3 days.
Fair.
This
Yeah.
is probably the coolest room I've been.
But also, I don't think the bar is being raised that much.
No.
I had the AC cranked before you guys came in, and I did the thing I did before where I turned it off just before we started.
Right, so it's going to get hotter as we're going to slowly melt
It will
into that.
gradually, the longer we record, the hotter it will become.
It's good, I love that.
There's also, it doesn't help that there are 2 computers in this room and also a mixer. This thing gets hot. Feel this.
I'm now touching the mixer.
Where is it? There's like a specific spot. Maybe not yet. But
Make
it
sure
heats
you
up.
don't-
It is kind of warm.
I don't know. Like sometimes it gets very hot, and I don't know why. I don't know if that's a good thing or not.
Because of all the magic going on in there.
Yeah, there's a lot of
All
audio.
that audio magic.
A lot of audio.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They have to take extra precautions to cool the set on Harry Potter every time.
because of all the magic.
Because of all the magic.
Yeah.
I thought it was just because of all the hot energy between Dumbledore and Snape.
That too. That didn't help.
It didn't help.
It didn't help it get any cooler.
Dumbledore's gay, right?
Yeah, and he's dead.
Oh.
Spoiler cast. Here.
Straight Snape. Straight Snape kills gay Dumbledore.
Yeah.
All right. We're already into the hate crimes.
Yeah, we really jumped
Have we
headfirst
introduced
into this
ourselves
week.
yet?
No, we haven't.
Okay.
I mean, I introduced you in the fake intro.
I guess we'll keep the fake intro. Should we do a real intro?
No, it's too late.
It's too late. Okay.
What? Hi, my name's Logan.
My name's Matt.
I'm not going to do it. My name's Sandy.
And this is Quizzicast episode 28.
Whoa.
Jesus Christ.
The radio voice.
What are you,
Jeez.
Barry White?
Yes.
Holy shit.
Yeah, baby, here we are. This is now video game time. What video games did we all play to this week? Or whatever. We can talk about whatever you want, baby.
Damn, dude. I think you should do the intros from now on.
I'm like up to 80% hard right now.
I'm going to get you that last 20%.
I hope, man. All right.
It probably helps that you have the dynamic mic this week, which makes your voice even...
Dynamism.
Yeah, it makes it even muddier and deeper. Somewhat.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Matt, what did you get up to for the past week or so?
I didn't really get a chance to play many video games this week, or last week for that matter. I've been really busy trying to finish projects, both curricular and extra. There's a new video that is, if you are listening to this, it is finished and you can watch it now. It's about Bennett Foddy. If you're listening and the video is not out, then congratulations, you are a time traveler.
With minor copy editing by me.
So yeah, I was just frantically trying to get that done and juggle that with everything else. And so yeah, I didn't get a ton of time to play games, but I did play an electronic game called
Wow.
Environmental Station Alpha.
Ooh.
Finally got around to that. I discovered it through Matthew Matosis, I think, and he did a comparison video between it and another
Axiom Verge.
Yeah, so so Environmental Station Alpha is a Metroidvania game, and yeah, comparing it to Axiom Verge, also a Metroidvania game that I finished a few months ago. Didn't like all that much. I thought it was kind of it did a few things well, and overall I thought it was kind of a mediocre game. I liked the weapon variety, the music was really cool, but everything else about it just felt it felt like a Metroid. It felt like a Super Metroid clone in every other sense. And also, much like Super Metroid, it had boss battles where here's this huge hulking boss with a lot of health, and we've given you a lot of health because you're not going to be able to dodge most of these attacks. So just tank as much damage as you can, stand in one place a lot of the time, and just fucking fill this boss with as much damage as you can, which I wasn't a huge fan of. But then I play Environmental Station Alpha, and I can tell you that it is also a lot like Super Metroid. Some things never change, but I'm enjoying it more than I enjoyed Axiom Verge. I'm enjoying my time with this a lot more, and I think a lot of it has to do with the combat in this game feels more skill focused than a lot of other Metroidvanias do, with the exception of some games like Hollow Knight. I thought had really exceptional combat.
You're playing a lot of Metroidvanias.
I know. I think I need to stop. I think I'm
Have
getting...
you played any Castlevanias? You should just play a Castlevania game now.
Maybe I should. Yeah, I'll go back and play Super Castlevania. I thought I had that. No, I never did get that on. I have Super Metroid on somewhere.
You should play Castlevania Symphony of the Night and just get disappointed by why is this part of that naming convention?
Right, yeah. So, yeah, I think I'm getting burnt out on Super Metroids. I need to... And I think part of it is Hollow Knight really spoiled me. I think might be part of it, because Hollow Knight is easily... Yeah, I would say it's the best Metroidvania I've played, period. I really liked Hollow Knight. And so everything else since then has felt really subpar. And I don't think Environmental Station Alpha is a bad game. I'm kind of like already voicing like a negative opinion of it, I think, which I don't mean to. Like, it's a decent game. I would say the number one thing about this game is if you are looking for a Metroidvania game, this is 100% that and not much else. It is Metroidvania through and through. You got the little donut projectiles like floating around. There's this door is red and I can't shoot it open with my normal gun. I wonder what's gonna happen.
You need the missile.
You maybe need a new weapon to access this door.
Whoa.
That I'll get later.
But it's got like a minimalist style to it, right?
That's one thing that I really liked about it. It is extremely minimal. It almost looked like a Pico 8 game. But I think it's higher resolution and it is not Pico 8.
Oh yeah, and it has that like square aspect ratio, right?
Yeah.
Or like 4:3 or something.
Which is why it reminded me of that. And yeah, I had to look it up. Like, is this a Pico 8? It's not, but and yeah, the soundtrack is really good too. Oh, yeah. So that they're already nailing a couple key Metroidvania things. Good music, visuals. I actually, even though Axiom Verge had more robust visuals that were probably closer to Super Metroid, I don't think it was good pixel art. It felt like everything really clashed at times. It was sometimes hard to tell the background from the foreground, stuff like that. Whereas I think Environmental Station Alpha does a lot better overall.
You mentioned that like a good staple was good music, and I'm just imagining now a genre that a staple of it is bad music. Like, it was a great game, but it really dropped the ball because its music was great, and really this genre usually has terrible music.
B games. Yeah.
No, but like even
it's a MIDI version of the X-Files theme.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I'm halfway done it. I think I kind of got stuck on a part, and I haven't really gone back to it. It's funny. Like I'm enjoying my time with this game more than Axiom Verge, but I'm getting more lost and confused about what to do in this game than any other Super Metroid type game that I've played. So I guess there's that too. But yeah, I guess the thing I was going to say earlier is I like this game more overall because the combat feels more skill based. So it's not all about... You actually get a very limited pool of health in this game. Like, I think you start with only 8 or... Yeah, like 8 hit
most
points.
enemies do 1 damage? Or do they do
It gets worse later. Some enemies can, or some bosses can do 2 or 3 damage.
Jeez.
So it does get tough, and you only have so much health. And yeah, it's kind of that Dark Soulsy thing where you got to go from the save point to the boss, not take any damage, and then be as conservative with your health as you can. It's very unlike a lot of Metroidvania games where you can't really tank damage in this game. And you do have a dodge ability, or you don't start with it, but you get it later. You get a kind of a dodge kind of ability where you can
like a dash. I'm assuming.
Yeah. You get some iframes. So yeah, there is more of a skill component to it, which is rad, and I prefer that over sit here and shoot the guy and just stand still because it's impossible to avoid most of these things that are coming your way.
Hope you got enough energy packs.
That's it. I don't really have a lot to say about it. It's just it's a decent Metroidvania game, which if you're like me and I guess I think you also at some point expressed being kind of bored of Metroidvania games.
Yeah, I played a lot of them, and I think I played SteamWorld Dig 2, which is in all respects a great game, but I was just like burnt out on the Metroidvania aspect of it, and it was the weirdest experience of a game I've had where I was not enjoying it at the end of it, but I was forcing myself to finish it. And it was because I recognized it as like this was a very well designed game, and there was a lot of really cool decisions they made in it, but I like wasn't enjoying any of it.
Right.
Like past the halfway point, I was just like, I get what this game's doing, but I have to finish it out of like respect.
I've felt that way about some games. Yeah, if you're kind of burnt out of Metroidvanias, I would say maybe stay away because it's that through and through. But I mean, if you're just looking for, like, I want to play a Super Metroid-like game, just cause this one's pretty good. I would recommend it.
Cool.
Also, the publisher I think is also publishing a really interesting indie game that's yet to come out called Baba Is You. I think is what it's called.
Baba Is You.
I wish I had more to say about it, but it seems like a game where. I don't want to say much about it because I haven't done enough research on it. I'm kind of just waiting for it to come out. But it's a little indie game where it looks like you're this like little cartoon-looking animal, and you're pushing wards around that are in the game world, like on the overworld, and you're pushing these blocks around that are different words, and you form different sentences. Like I think like some of the preview footage I saw was "Wall is gone" or "Baba is big" or something. You're forming these sentences, and as you complete them, it changes things in the game world.
That's cool.
And that's how you solve puzzles.
That's a really cool idea.
That's all I really know about it. But yeah, that's an interesting game I might cover at some point. That's all I really played. Did you do anything interesting, Sandy?
I watched a couple of movies.
Oh, what movies did you watch?
Yeah,
I watched Snatch by Guy Ritchie.
Oh, that's a good movie.
And I wanted to watch it because I'd seen King Arthur, his version of King Arthur before, Legend of the Sword. And I wanted to go back and see what the Guy Ritchie style was back then. And then so I watched it, and then I rewatched King Arthur. And I was like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense that the same guy made this.
Wait, does King Arthur have the same kind of like stop the action and introduce a character?
No. It doesn't go that far into being a Guy Ritchie movie, but it's got the pace of it.
Right.
Like, especially the sequence where Arthur grows up, goes from all the way from like age 4-ish to where he's King Arthur now, and he's going to go and pull out the sword any minute. And it's a really cool little piece of the movie, and the movie overall is pretty well directed. It got crushed by Guardians because it came out like 2 weekends after it.
Wait, this is like
on the
a
box
new
office.
movie? Oh,
No, this was like I want to say 2 years ago.
That's still kind of new in my
yeah.
mind.
It was
so
recent.
That's okay.
Newer than Snatch for sure.
Yeah.
But
I should look that movie up.
yeah, that movie's pretty cool, especially because I'm all into like mythology and stuff, and it used everything really well. And then I listened to Guy Ritchie talk about it on Joe Rogan's podcast, and he was talking about how much about narrative he thinks, and he was like relating the fact that King Arthur is the archetypal narrative where people are trying to tell him who he is, but only he has the power to pull the sword out. And I was like, man, Guy Ritchie's fucking deep in this shit. And I was like, I gotta watch his movies. So I watched Snatch and really enjoyed it. I hadn't realized that apparently there was a Bollywood remake of it that I had already watched.
What?
That was really shitty.
Oh my god.
So I was by the end of the movie, I was disappointed in myself for knowing what's going to happen. But overall, it was really good.
Because there's that big twist at the end, right? Or like kind of big twist. Like the
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because the first time I watched it, I was surprised.
Matt obviously hasn't seen Snatch.
Yeah. Yeah. So no, I totally know what the thing is.
Yeah, and I watched those two movies, and over the course of the past couple of weeks, I rewatched Avatar: The Last Airbender.
The movie by M. Night Shyamalan?
That doesn't exist.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Sorry, you were talking about movies, so I had to assume.
Well, I watched the TV show. It was on Netflix.
Okay, cool.
It just recently came on Netflix. 20 episodes, 3 seasons.
So 60 episodes total?
Yeah, 22 minutes each.
Wait, that's how long Avatar was?
Yeah, the Avatar: The Last Airbender, yeah.
Wait, that's only, like, total, that's how many episodes they made?
60.
Oh,
61.
For some reason, I thought they made more than that.
No, like, it felt longer when I watched it as a kid, but now it was like...
Were they long episodes?
No, they were 22 minutes.
Yeah.
Huh.
That sounds like regular, like, quote-unquote serialized anime length. Right?
Yeah.
Like, that's similar to, like, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood had, like, that.
See, for some reason, I assumed that The Last Airbender was kind of like Naruto, where it just kept going. And
Yeah,
going.
I think the thing was that because it came out once a week, probably, when it did air on Nickelodeon, it felt longer, but like I just kind of...
And it's got a pretty good arc, right? You go through all the elements and then that's like kind of it.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah.
And like I found myself, because as a kid, I obviously related to Aang, the main character. But like now I find myself relating more to Zuko, who was hunting Aang. I don't know if you've seen the show.
I saw it a long time ago.
With
the scar, yeah. And if you watch the show, you might know what I mean, but I don't know. I haven't really re-experienced a piece of media where I related to a completely different character and a completely different feeling in the show. So, do you guys have anything like that?
I do actually. The closest thing I can think of is rereading Calvin and Hobbes as an adult.
Yeah,
and being able to appreciate
and identifying with the dad.
I'm not a parent, but yeah, being able to appreciate a completely different dimension of those comics that you wouldn't have been able to understand as a kid. Even some Pixar films are kind of like that too.
Yeah,
where there's, to a lesser extent, I think I had that feeling much more strongly with Calvin and Hobbes though.
Yeah, I think Calvin and Hobbes is a good pull for that. For me, I don't really revisit media very often, like art or anything. I tend to kind of like read or view something once and then kind of drop it. But there's like, let me think. No, the only one I could say is like there's a book called House of Leaves, and it's like one of the few books that I've read like more than like 2 times.
It's a huge book too,
it's a giant book, but it's always like, I don't know, I go back to it every like few years, and I always enjoy just kind of reading through it. Sometimes I don't finish it all. I'll make it through like 3/4 of it and then just kind of drop it for something else. But I always end up finding kind of new character traits or new passages that I didn't understand or fully get the context of on my first or second or third read through. There's like a lot of moments, because characters are constantly lying to each other in that book, and so keeping track of all the lies, and then when the truths are revealed, they're not really shown. Like, it's not a showy, oh, that was a lie you read before. Instead, you have to like kind of make the connections that this character was lying like 300 pages ago, and kind of picking up on those has been really interesting. And it makes me realize like there's a bunch of stuff in there about like struggling paycheck to paycheck, or having moments where you're like in these awkward social situations that I didn't understand when I was like in high school or like even a few years ago. But then now, like, just as my life has gone on, I've like found myself in those kinds of situations that are really, really interesting. But yeah, nothing as strong as like completely identifying with a completely different character. But that's super cool.
I did think of this is a very specific example, but The Incredibles, of seeing that movie as a kid, not really understanding the insurer care bit at the beginning, where Bob, Mr. Incredible, is working at an insurance company, like 10 years or whatever after being a superhero and him just being miserable and depressed.
Right.
And some of the jokes they used didn't really land with me because I was a kid. And then rewatching that as an adult and being like, this is hilarious.
I should rewatch that since the new one came out.
Yeah. The one was...
Oh, really? I heard it was good.
Yeah, it was good, but it didn't do anything really besides good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was all right.
Right.
Yeah.
Didn't have all the main characters facing their death and like grabbing hands accepting their death.
It's an inoffensive Pixar film.
Right.
Yeah, it was enjoyable. It is always very cool to see, because when did The Incredibles 1 come out? 2005, sometime around then?
Yeah, it was like 15 years ago.
Yeah, seeing how much better a movie like this. And the thing that I really liked about it was Pixar 1's art style, you can kind of tell it was supposed to be set in the 60s, but it was kind of inconsistent. They didn't fully commit to a style. Whereas in the sequel, it's just
like modern day, isn't it? Or like...
No, it's in the 60s.
Oh, it is?
Or like maybe, like late 60s, I would say.
Okay.
It seems to be where it's at, and they go hard on that
that's
style.
cool. That's
and
awesome.
it's very cool. It works extremely well.
Yeah.
Cool.
I like that style.
It's great. Yeah.
Also, you said it's an inoffensive Pixar film. Can you give me an example of an offensive Pixar film?
Inoffensive in the sense that it really doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
It feels derivative, and it doesn't really do anything new with the franchise.
I never saw it, but everyone hated The Last Dinosaur, apparently.
Yeah, I didn't see it either.
Right? No one's heard of it because apparently it was a bad Pixar film.
So it was probably offensive.
Probably, yeah.
Toy Story 3 was pretty offensive.
That's actually what I was referencing was Toy Story 3, where they all hold hands and
Yeah.
accept their death.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, that's where good Pixar died.
Yeah.
They haven't produced a good film after Toy Story 3.
I saw a video of this guy showing Toy Story 3 to his family, and he edited it so that
it just ends.
It
after
just
that
ends
scene?
when they go into the furnace. And then it just goes do 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 do. You got a friend.
Oh my god,
That's fantastic.
that's so good.
Yeah, that's a good video. Where they're like,
I mean, the actual ending is just as devastating.
yeah, I mean a little less because they don't die.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
toys don't get
But I
incinerated.
could feel my
Yeah.
childhood dying as the camera panned back and he said, "So long, partner." And I was like, "Fuck you, Pixar."
This is offensive.
This was calculated.
How dare you make me cry in public?
These are calculated tears you're making me shed.
I never really had a connection to Toy Story 1 or 2, so I was like, yeah, just burn
It's
them.
similar. Like I never cared. I never connected with the Incredibles, so I never really had any excitement about the new one coming out.
Yeah, I think when it comes out, I'm gonna shit liberally on the live action Lion King because I had
Is there a live action Lion King coming out?
I mean, they call it live action, but
But it's
everything's CG.
CGI. Yeah.
So they're probably gonna do the Popeye thing where they shoot the location and just put lions in it.
I bet those lines are going to look beautiful though.
I don't care.
Look at Life of Pi. It's going to be just Life of Pi. But
Look at
there's
that
70
fur!
of them. Yeah.
But the animation on the 1995 or 4 or 6 or whatever Lion King was so good
Really
because
good, yeah.
the thing is you have to be able to see their expressions. You can't make a real lion look as evil as Scar does in that
Maybe they do.
animation.
I don't know.
Look at those main physics.
Also, speaking of animals, I'm way behind the curve on this, but I finally got around to watching the second Planet Earth. The one like narrated by David Attenborough. Shit, that thing is so good.
It's
oh
beautiful.
my
Planet Earth is so
God.
good.
Holy shit. I didn't think they could do so much with just audio cues of like putting music at certain parts.
Yeah.
It makes me so invested in an animal running away from some snakes. It's so crazy.
It's like Looney Tunes but backwards.
Yeah, yeah,
They
yeah.
don't make the cartoon work to the music. They make
yeah.
the music work to the
God,
video.
it's so good. Oh man. And how like I know that they're just cutting shots from a bunch of different animals that are in similar locations to make it seem like there's a cohesive narrative.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I don't care. This is
Yeah.
still amazing that they're making this cohesive narrative of like one animal living this little bit of its life or
Yeah.
something. It's great.
Before we, well, we're already pretty far away from it, but before we get further from it, I was going to mention that I haven't read Catch-22, but apparently that's a book that also has a lot of, it's got a lot of characters, and it's a lot of things are said out of order. It's a non-linear story, and a lot of things are said in the book that then come back later. So that seems like another book you could read and probably discover new things.
Oh yeah, actually, though,
subsequent
something in a similar vein. Most of Kurt Vonnegut's novels are similar. Like I've read Slaughterhouse-Five and Cat's Cradle several times, and I always kind of find new things that I like about certain characters and dislike about other characters. And the great thing about those books is that they're almost like eternally funny, which is like surprising. Like I'll read the same joke that I've read several times before and it's still funny. And some of it's like this weird humor. Like there's a thing in Slaughterhouse-5 where the narrator, whenever something dies, it says "so it goes." And it's like the hallmark of the book. A lot of people have "so it goes" like tattooed on their body. But one of my favorite things is sometimes it'll be like, "Oh, and then it killed the mood. So it goes," right? Or like a fly will get swatted and it'll just say "so it goes."
That's good.
And it'll just say it for any kind of death, right? And so sometimes it's played as like these very somber moments, like a major character will die or something, and it just ends it with "so it goes" and it doesn't describe it any further. But then when it has these like weird abstract concepts dying, it's just like "so it goes." Same deal.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I haven't read enough to have enough of that to pull from and to talk about. Yeah, I don't know, like how I'm trying to think of how to describe something like that. It's like it's really interesting humor that you can only really have in a book.
I think it's
kind of unique to
it's
the
a big
medium.
like style thing, I think.
Yeah.
And it's the reason why like I've been really interested in like auteurs for film, right? Like getting really into David Lynch recently and previous David Fincher. Just kind of seeing the style of someone's like artistry through their books. And Kurt Vonnegut's awesome to get into because his novels are all pretty short, but they're all like really kind of narratively dense. Like their plots are usually pretty labyrinthine or interesting, or at least novel. Like I picked up Slaughterhouse-5 and read it in a night, like while I was traveling, and it was just phenomenal. It was like such a fun book to just like flip through and get to the end, and then you kind of sit there and you don't know if it really affected you or not, and then you kind of like go, I'm going to read through that again. But yeah, as like a weird hipster, like everyone recommends this author, but hey, I recommend reading Kurt Vonnegut's novels. But yeah, they're funny. One of them, Breakfast of Champions, starts with him sketching a picture of his own asshole, and that's
good.
really good.
Yeah,
yeah.
That's a solid start.
Yeah, I really like that and like Find My Own Butthole or find the Butthole.
There's a theme here.
Yeah, really good.
It's also the third time we've brought up butthole.
I'm going to bring it up every single podcast.
3 episodes in a row now.
Yeah. Look, I just want people to play that game, okay? I think it's a cultural landmark.
Truly, this is a high watermark moment.
Oh, man.
Games have you played, Logan?
Right.
Or movies.
Wow, that was like a long...
Logan plays a game.
Logan talks about a game. I had 2 games I was going to bring today.
Bring.
Yeah, I'm bringing my ideas, bringing conversation.
Yeah.
Kind of need to burp. Nope, I didn't.
So disappointed.
The first one I'll talk about is a smaller one and it'll be quick. A game that recently came out, I think this last week, is called Downhole. Made by a guy who made another game I liked called Rymdkapsel. He's a Swedish game maker. And Rymdkapsel was a game where it's an RTS, so you're building a society, but it's more like a Sim City than it is a Company of Heroes or something like that. And it's a game where you build a city out of Tetris blocks. And it's got like it's basically inspired by Swiss graphic design. It's like solid colors and geometric shapes.
Right.
And it was really cool. It was on phones, and I remember playing it. This was it came out a similar time when like iPhone games were huge. Like we were talking about this last episode where like Sword and Sorcery and Year Walk and stuff like that, all these kind of artistic games were coming out. And this came out at that time, but this was a very systems focused game with just a very clean art style. So he made a few other games after that. I don't remember them, but because I wasn't keeping my finger to the pulse, as it were. But Downhole, I think it's called, or Holedown, that's it, is a game that's basically upside down Brick Breaker. Where you just like shoot down to break bricks.
Oh,
yeah. But
is this the one that Bennett Foddy has been tweeting about?
Maybe.
I think he retweeted a couple things related to this.
Does it? There's like the little image of the like character of the game is this like little white like fucking finger
Yes.
with a little happy face, and through the entire game he's just sitting in the corner of the screen, just like.
This is the same game.
Yeah,
I'm
and
thinking of, yes.
the entire game is you like shoot these little white like capsules basically at these blocks, but you shoot like shit tons of them at once.
Yeah, it's like
and
a
then they
barrage.
bounce around everywhere, and each block has a number on it, and that's how many times it needs to get hit. And then certain ones are like bolted to the background, so they'll hold up the blocks that are behind them. So you have to break those ones, and then all the other ones on top will break and fall. But it's like there's not much to say about it because it's just like this little fun brick breaker game. But holy shit, is it engaging! And when you get like a really nice combo where you get like 600 of them bouncing around, and it's just kind of entertaining as hell. And it's got all these like little design tweaks, like your little dudes will speed up the longer they stay down there. So the higher your quote unquote combo is, the more like frenetic it starts looking. And holy shit, the sound design in this game is phenomenal. It's unlike any other game's soundscape I can think of. It's just like a bunch of like blips and bloops, but not like an 8-bit blips and bloops. It's like if someone took 8-bit music and sound effects and made them with like modern equipment and like didn't use like sine waves or square waves or whatever, and instead just tried to go like, what would this sound like if I made it with just fucking GarageBand and tried to mimic those sounds. And it's just this crazy abstract soundscape where you're burrowing into planets, but that's pretty much the only story in the game. So yeah, I recommend Holedown. It's also a game where you just buy it and you get the whole game. There's no microtransactions. It's cool. And he's a cool developer, and so support the dude. I think it's like $5.
Looks like a good game. I've seen a bit of gameplay of it. And it looked really just fun.
Yeah, it's really fun to be able to play just like a few minutes of, and it's like the quintessential like phone game. I think it really nailed it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
The dumb little cute guy.
Yeah, God, I love that guy's face. Oh man,
he's got a good face.
Yeah, good, and he's like the icon of the game as well. So he's just like sitting on my phone screen, just like yeah. And the second game is a game that just came out today.
Real quick, from this point on, if you're watching this on YouTube, that little dumb guy will be in the corner of the video.
I hope you can find a gif of him just going back and forth.
I'll see what I can do. If he's there, then you'll know I succeeded.
Hell yeah.
We'll buy the game, screen record, and then make a gif.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, I could probably pull that off.
It's a lot of effort, though.
But then I just leave him there.
Fair. Every single video from now on, we're just like a permanent hold down
just
advertisements.
Just this one.
By episode 80, we're going to have a collage of things on it.
It's only downhole.
Yeah.
This is not related to anything, but there was a video series by Anthony Fantano called The Meme Review.
Yeah.
That did exactly that, where every video would end with this like collage of bullshit that he would add one thing onto the end of every single video, and it got insanely long by the end, and then it got shut down because of that whole thing that happened with him.
I never really got into the meme review.
I loved the meme
before
review.
That whole shutdown
That
happened.
was so stupid. It was the dumbest series of videos that I loved. Anyways, on to the second game I'm bringing. I have not played. It is a game called La-Mulana 2.
Are you qualified to speak about it then?
No.
Whoa.
I'm not qualified to speak about anything.
Breaking conduct here.
So La-Mulana 2 is a game that came out today, as I found out yesterday. I've been waiting for this game for about 3.5 years.
Wait, what's it called again?
La-Mulana 2. So it's a sequel to La-Mulana. La-Mulana is the game I'm actually going to talk about. And the only reason I'm going to is because this sequel suddenly being released after being in development for 4.5 years.
La-Mulana.
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 Yeah, M-U-L-A-N-A. Okay. And then the numeral 2.
Okay.
Yeah, the
Roman numeral?
No.
Oh.
Like the Greco-European or whatever you would call it.
I
don't know anything about language.
I think it's like Arabic partly.
That's it, Arabic. Yeah.
Roman Arabic?
Something.
Something.
Anyways, La-Mulana. La-Mulana 2 is the sequel to a very, very good game and a very, very hard game that came out about 5 years ago. It was a kind of independent game that was... If you look at it, it kind of... Like, if you look at screenshots, it looks like a low-quality version of Spelunky. It looks like it's got, like... iffy 16-bit graphics that have a wildly clashing aesthetics. Like the main character looks like this little like cartoonish character, but all the bosses look hyper detailed. And
that was the problem I had with Axiom Verge.
So this one, it's like that's part of the charm. So the game is a game about you're basically an Indiana Jones type, right? And the game is very Japanese. And so you come to the ruins of La-Mulana to find some some like great treasure there. I forget the exact thing of it. And there's a little camp outside, and then the entire game is basically just going through this ruin. It's a 2D side scroller, and you just solve puzzles and you defeat bosses, and then you end up finding the treasure at the end. I have never beaten La-Mulana because it's incredibly hard. And I don't mean hard just in the dexterity bit of it. Like, actually playing the game is really difficult because it's a game with a fixed jump arc. So when you click jump, you just go in a predetermined arc with no air control. And so a lot of the game... so you have this fixed jump arc. Your attack you have to stand still to do, right? It's got a like active item slot like the original Castlevanias, right? But you have to like manually switch between those, and sometimes you need to manually switch between them on the fly in a fight, and then like jump on these ridiculously difficult platforming sections where you have to like adjust yourself pixel perfect to get to places while switching between them and hitting a boss. So that's one hard part. And then the other hard part is the puzzles. So if you don't use a walkthrough, which I didn't use ever for my entire playthrough, which is why I didn't finish it, the puzzles are so hard and so abstract and require you to basically have a working knowledge of the entire game world at all times. There will be like hints to certain puzzles that are like literally an hour's distance away, like just walking.
Are you sure this game isn't just Castlevania 2?
It's very similar to Castlevania 2, but at least this one, you don't have to crouch beside a wall and use an item several times for a tornado to pull you away or whatever. These ones are like, the puzzles make sense once you find them. It's just actually they have like these long poems you'll have to read and then kind of like parse out how these lines of the poem relate to a like sun temple that was on the northern side of this world, and then you have to understand that there was like a certain block that's way down in like the underworld that is also underneath a sun pillar that when you push it onto there it activates a thing elsewhere. But it was super engaging. It was one of the few times that I felt truly like perplexed by a game, right? Where I kind of walked into this world, and as you kind of complete some of the puzzles, it has that Metroid-like feeling, but instead of unlocking new abilities, you just suddenly realize what certain things in the world meant.
That's cool.
And you can go back and suddenly do things that you like could have done the whole time, but are now like you've gained the knowledge to understand them.
I have not played a lot of games that are like that, but I wish more games tried doing that.
Yeah, it's like, super cool. Yeah.
Unlocking parts of the world not through like explicitly gaining abilities, but through player knowledge.
Exactly.
It's a really interesting idea.
Yeah, and this game does it like in spades. It does it so well. And it also has some cool little, like that's the thing that really grabbed me was those little bits and kind of a general understanding of the world that after a certain point, there's like certain rooms that were incredibly difficult when you first go through them. And then now that you know how to traverse them, you just kind of like breeze through and you can't imagine why they were ever difficult. But there's that. And then the cool thing that a lot of people sell it on, which was like less impressive to me, but it's still a cool thing, is some of the boss fights completely change how the game works. There's like a boss. Each of the bosses has to do with like an element within the world, and they're like a god associated with that element. And most of the enemies in the game are these like little cartoony dudes, and then the bosses come in and they're just these super high res pixel art things that take up like sometimes some of them don't even fit on one screen. They're so huge, and they usually like break the temple around you to do something crazy. Two of the ones that I really enjoyed were the water one, where the background breaks away. The entire game is usually completely 2D. It breaks away and it becomes 3D, and you're on a river, and the boss is like jumping through the river as you're on a boat on the 2D plane, like moving it back and forth to avoid the boss's attacks.
It's fucking sick.
And it's hard as shit. And then the other one is the walls break away. You fall down onto a mine cart, and suddenly the game becomes like a 2D like Donkey Kong Country platformer. Yeah. And it's like that, but then you get a gun. And you just start like it becomes like a Donkey Kong Country mixed with like a bullet hell shooter out of like nowhere. And it's only for this little portion of the game, just this boss, and then it ends, and then you never do anything like that again.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, and so that's some pretty cool stuff that if you don't read up on anything in the game before then, come as these massive surprises, which builds on to that kind of knowledge building.
How old is this game again?
About 5 years now. And now the second one's coming out, which means I played the first one when there was online walkthroughs available. I played it like a year or so after it came out.
Will not.
Yeah, this is like everyone is just blind. And the first game, I think it took like a week for people to even beat it, just because no one could figure out the puzzles, and they had to like crowdsource themselves, where everyone was like, I did this in this area, kind of like when Fez first came out.
Or I was going to say PT.
Yeah, or PT. Yeah, very similar to that. And so that's exciting, and I'm probably going to try and play some of it tonight. But and they had a Kickstarter a long time ago, like I think it was 4.5 years ago, for the second game, and they're like, we're going to release it in a year, and it's been 4.5 years, and they just stopped releasing information about the game. And then I just got an email just from them. I didn't back the Kickstarter, but I follow it on Steam. Yeah. And they were like, your game's releasing tomorrow. And I was like, what? And I look, and there's just like this post, and it's like, yeah, we're going to release the game. It's still got a lot of bugs, and some of the game isn't like really finished, with quotes around it. And I was like, and they're like, but we're going to release it anyways, because this is how the original La-Mulana was released. Apparently it was also released kind of not finished, and then they patched it as people made their way through the game and found game-breaking bugs. So I can't wait to be a part of that.
Because I'm interested in trying this potentially. Is it worth going back and playing the first one, or do you think
it looks like the second one improves on nothing from the first one? So the first one, like, it has the exact same mechanics, the art style's literally the same. I would say just play through the first one and do it without a walkthrough. Like, never look up anything. And if you ever get fully stuck, maybe just stop playing. Right? Like, because I ended up looking up one thing. I was about, I'd say, halfway through the game, and then I couldn't figure it out, so I looked up a thing, and then like all my motivation to play the game stopped. Like, I was just like, oh, I couldn't figure out that one thing, and now all of this feels wrong. Like, if you because I felt like I committed so much time to figuring out the puzzles before then, and then it sucks because there's a big turn that kind of happens halfway through the game, and it was basically the puzzle that activated that turn that I had to look up. And then after that, it was like all the puzzles kind of related to the solution of that puzzle. And then I felt like I hadn't earned that, and I was just like, fuck. So I like Googled a video of the end of the game, and I was like, okay. And the last boss, I was like, there's no way I'm ever, even if I had made it there on my own, I never would have beaten that boss. It was like this 16 phase fucking crazy boss fight that had like every other boss in the game come back. And then after you beat it, you have to do this incredibly difficult escape from the temple. And if you die there, you have to replay the whole boss fight. And I was like, no way. Just no way.
That bitter flavor we were talking about. There it is.
Oh, and it also had some cool sequence break stuff in it. I accidentally broke the sequence of the game a bunch of times.
See, I kind of want to just jump into the sequel at the same time you're playing it, and then this just becomes
I'm
the
into
La-Mulana podcast for like a week or two.
Oh, absolutely. I would love that, actually. So I'm going to be playing. It's like $30 though, which is higher than I thought it was going to come out for. But I'm still going to buy it because fuck, I've been waiting so long for this game.
I could make it a channel expense if I was going to make a video on it, but it's probably...
I don't know. It might be a good streaming game, but honestly, if people told you, I don't know if any of your streamers would know the answers to any of the puzzles, though.
That's the thing, they probably wouldn't, so it'd be fine. But I've also kind of taken a break from streaming.
Fair, yeah. Well, also, it's got a pretty jammin' soundtrack. It's not like beautiful or anything, but it's like jam. It's got like good old NES jammin' tunes, kind of like it's that frog game, fucking Battletoads. Battletoads has like a jam and pause menu song. This one's like, a lot of the songs are just like fucking yeah,
fucking yeah,
just fucking just like real strong rhythm sections, and it's all like 16-bit era music. It's great.
There's a couple songs off in my Environmental Station Alpha that are like that. I listened, I was like, this is a fucking jam. Bum, 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 bum. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and you also play as the first game's daughter. And so already the forum's filled with people saying, why can't I play as a guy? And gamers want to once again show themselves as wonderable human beings.
Gamers rise up.
Gamers
want the guy.
Yeah. This is about ethics.
This is about ethics in games journalism. Yeah, that sounds super interesting. I might have to pick that up.
It's so inconsequential whether your character is a guy or a girl in that game. It doesn't.
The sprite is almost indistinguishable.
I was gonna say,
there's probably like a little ponytail or something.
Yeah, it's like she just has a bit of blonde hair, but everything else she's wearing is the same. Yeah. It's so funny. Fuck.
It's so stupid.
That's very good. That's very, very good.
I'm playing Yumi Nikki and I can't play as a guy.
I want to play as the abuser.
Wait, I got a dick. Why don't he got a dick?
Video games.
Oh, video games.
All right. Speaking of video games, and possible ways that you could control said video games. So, Sandy,
I shared a message with you guys of a tweet from this Twitter account called Cheap Ass Gamer. I think it's a good account to follow follow sales on stuff. Mm-hmm. But they tweeted that you could get a fidget spinner that controls games on your, I'm thinking mobile phone.
I mean, I don't know. The page for this on so this links to a Best Buy page.
Yeah, it does.
Where
And
you could purchase
It was only
this.
$3. Fuck.
Yeah, but apparently it. Well, I'll check the link now.
Yeah, we'll take a look.
I'm excited.
But last I checked, the link. Yeah, you can't.
Yeah, it's like,
you can't get it anywhere. Anymore.
I guess
Kind of a bummer.
at that low price, it wasn't
With
gonna
$3,
last.
I totally should have bought that when you first posted this.
So I'll just
Fuck.
okay. So first of all, if you're so for those of you who are listening with audio only, I will link this in the show notes. You can.
Can I read
check
the
this
name
out.
of the
Yes.
name of the thing? So what you're looking at today is the Fidgetly Control app-enabled 360-degree motion game controller for $299 via Best Buy. Attached is a beautiful, shining black and blue fidget spinner that is obviously Bluetooth-enabled for gaming pleasure.
I think I got that remaining 20% of that.
You can play video games with this.
You can play video games
Yeah.
with a fidget spinner.
Yeah, you can.
It's never been a better time
Never
to
been
be a
a better
gamer.
So, first of all, so you sent this to
Yeah.
us. You said find a way to incorporate this into
Yeah, like
Well,
as
first
a
of all-
design challenge.
Yeah, you said, hey, you guys make games, right?
Yeah, that's what I said.
Make some games with this.
I just went, hey, y'all make games, right? Please make something with this, thanks.
So I thought it was only natural that
Yeah.
the three of us would then discuss ways that we could incorporate this.
we talked about a couple already in the chat.
Well, actually, okay. So sorry to interrupt, but
Yeah,
real
yeah.
quick before we get into it, I have two notes on. Yeah, I guess you guys don't have the Google Doc open.
On the fidget spinner?
So I have two questions. One of which
I don't understand the first question.
How many inputs?
Yeah.
So
With no question mark, by the way.
Yeah.
Both these
Matt
questions.
hates punctuation.
Yeah.
it's true. So it just
It's
gets
a
in the
bulleted
way.
list, though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That has to count for something.
it doesn't.
So the first question I have is how many inputs, and what I mean by that is, so it's a 360-degree controller.
Every degree.
So you can spin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's like 360 degrees of input.
Every degree is an input. So
Yeah.
it's basically like those things, those rotations that have a clickiness to it.
Yeah. Oh,
Right.
yeah?
But like imagine every degree, it doesn't actually click, but in the ball bearings, it detects a degree of motion.
Right. Yeah. Like that is a state.
Yeah.
That the controller can be in.
Yeah. And then it will also recognize what direction it's spinning in by, I'm guessing, like seeing that, oh, the last input was here, the next input was like a positive or negative degree, so we're going clockwise or counterclockwise.
Right. But then I thought, how do you select things? Like if let's say in theory, if everything in this game, menus, if everything has to be controlled by this, how do you actually select things? Is there any alternate?
Well, the only solution is that the games designed specifically for this controller have to have radial menus.
Absolutely.
So,
And I'm assuming, wait, I'm going to assume it didn't say this on the description from the Twitter.
Let's look at the picture again.
Yeah, I think this thing might have motion control in it. Or like very, very basic gyroscopic control, like you can understand when it's shaking, right? So I think you would shake it to select something.
Shake it, baby.
So you'd spin to like move the cursor on the menu, right? And then
Right.
shake it to select.
No, I think
Or you click the center button.
Oh, the center button, also the outside buttons.
Yeah.
The prongs could be
That's
buttons.
what I was
Those might be
wondering.
buttons.
Yeah, because we ran into a fidget spinner. We happened upon a fidget spinner on Saturday.
Right.
And Matt tried
Just
clicking
hanging out
it
down by
to
the-
see if it lights up. And I'm like,
Yeah, 'cause-
why do you know the interaction of a light
you
up
can
fidget
you
spinner?
can get fidget spinners that have like each
Oh, that's cool.
tendril.
I like that.
Is something you can click and then it lights up.
I'd say for simplicity, I think probably only the center button clicks.
No,
Okay.
I think it's safe to say that all of them click. The center and
See, the
three
reason why I
tendrils.
argue against that is that the core interaction and core fun that comes from a fidget spinner is to spin it, right? And in order to click one of the tendrils, you have to stop that fundamental fun action to input on the device.
You know what?
Which is bullshit. I think I want to spin my fidget spinner and input at the same time.
So
gamers rise up.
Okay. I'm sure this fidget spinner, this specific one, doesn't do this. But what if we had a fidget spinner where, you know how there's like ball bearings around this one, right? That make it spin.
Yes.
What if that thing was repeated everywhere?
Oh, so you could spin
it from any tendril.
I don't think the like motion would work the same way if you're spinning it from elsewhere, right?
Yeah, that's why I don't think there's motion in it. I think it's just the 3 buttons and spinning.
I think it's the 1 button and spinning.
And motion.
No, I'm going to cut the motion.
Yeah.
I think
Again, we'll never know because
we'll never know
the
link's
page
down.
is gone.
So the button makes this a lot less fun to design for in that, like you spin and then if you have an action, it's on the button, right?
Yeah.
And that sucks, right? So when we first pitched this, I suggested that the only input is spinning, and how you aim is the direction of one of the prongs, and how you shoot is you spin it as fast as you can. And the game is just about shooting in all directions at all times.
Yeah, I mean, for like, it would be easier to design for if you had the button, but maybe for the sake of this discussion, we'll say, let's make this more interesting by saying you can only spin.
I had a new idea as we, like, just as you were bringing the laptop around, that I think this controller is perfect for a first-person owl game. Where you play as an owl and this is the direction you're looking.
That's good.
And it would just be kind of a almost like the weeping angels from Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Right, where like you can't, if you're not looking at them, they move towards you. Right, but you're an owl and there's a bunch of like weeping angels trying to get at you, and you use the fidget spinner to
just
make sure you
predatory birds.
And then you have to do this thing where you're like, oh, do you just spin it really fast and hope that just being able to see them every once in a while will keep them at bay, or do you like very carefully kind of spin around at certain points, right? So yeah, I think Owl Simulator in the Doctor Who universe 2018 is a very good game for
We need to get our hands on at least one of these. But didn't we talk about like potentially doing our own kind of game jam?
I talked about that.
Yeah.
And that's like slowly falling apart as my schedule piles up.
If we ever do that, we should have one of these.
Definitely. And if we ever make a game with this, we can submit it to Indiecade, or not Indiecade, the International Game, Independent Games Festival, because they have a special award just for Alt Control. That's what it's called, because it's alternative controllers. And if you just have a game that has an alternative controller, and if we use this, that counts.
There are game awards that exist for innovation in control.
I think
design.
last year the winner was a guy who the entire game was a box of sand, and it had a like Kinect camera that projected down onto it, and then it also had a projector. It had a projector that then projected the screen onto the sand, and you would dig canals, and then you would make. It was basically it was really From cool. Dust, I think it was called. Was that like God Game a long time ago?
Yeah, God Game.
But instead, like in real life,
it's a really fucking cool idea. Yeah.
So we could be that, but with fidget spinners.
Yeah, we could. My second
artistic.
question, my second question, which is really a joke more than anything, is how do I beat Dark Souls with this?
The spinning is just you rolling.
Absolutely,
So
you read my fucking mind.
You roll everywhere.
Yeah, and then wait, what is there any item in the game that lets you do damage while rolling?
Is there?
Yes, you can wear. I don't know if it's only Dark Souls 3. Or if it's in the previous games, but there is an armor of thorns.
Yeah, I think that's only in Dark Souls 3, which makes me sad.
And then you roll into enemies and people to do damage to them.
But how would you determine where to turn? I guess like you slowly spinning is turning, and then spinning it really fast activates roll.
I guess, and then for a moment it would just not take turning input as you.
Well, you'd have to stop it. Like once you stop it, then you go through, and it would take like the acceleration of the rotation into account.
Or you toggle between rolling and turning.
Oh, with the click. Holy shit, that's such a good idea. Yeah,
I'm an interaction designer.
Yeah, no, good job.
Would it be like a hold?
No, you click and
toggle.
then it's toggle. Yeah, and then those little. We're gonna say it lights up as well, and there's different colors for when you're in roll mode or when you're in.
I was gonna say holding might be quicker, and
there could be a pro mode.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pro mode where it changes it.
We'll make it an option.
Yeah. But I'd say toggle is most like user friendly.
Yeah.
Right.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
But also Dark Souls is can be at least Dark Souls.
I think
3.
Dark Souls. The point of Dark Souls is to be not user friendly.
I would argue Dark Souls 3 moved away from that, and it became very user friendly.
It is very user friendly.
Yeah.
I was going to say it's a faster game than the previous entries in the series, excluding Bloodborne.
Yeah, definitely.
And in some ways, I almost feel like Bloodborne would be better for this, for the frantic rolling.
I feel like no, only because you have to farm for blood vials in Bloodborne, and fuck that. If I had a fidget spinner, like I could do it if I always had the same amount of Estus flasks, I could do the same thing over and over. But no, I fucked up enough. Now I have to go kill things and get blood vials for a while with this shitty controller. Like, no, thank you.
Yeah, that's true. Thinking about the user experience.
Granted, now I'm thinking about it. There's no way you could eat the blood vials, so there's no healing in this run. There's only rolling.
Yeah.
No,
your life is rolling. Never mind. Yeah, you could do this in Bloodborne.
Yeah,
I'm sure someone on YouTube has already done this.
Yeah, probably.
We've only figured out
Some guy won it with
rolling
the-
and being able to do damage. Like you can't interact with bonfires, you can't fast travel, you can't pick up items.
Yep.
You can't use soapstone.
Yeah, wow. I mean, I doubt you could actually beat the game.
Literally.
I guess. Oh no, you know what? You
I
could
guess the
maybe
clicker.
clicking is also a macro for the talk to someone, like the A button.
I
or
guess,
whatever.
except that then you would probably end up in frustrating
Or
situations where you're trying to roll and you just interact with
Double-click?
something.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
gonna say like the Apple EarPods.
Yeah.
Different different clicks or different interactions.
Yeah.
How do I beat Dark Souls with a pair of Apple EarPods?
You don't.
Yeah.
Let's be real.
Granted, someone beat Dark Souls with the bongo drums from that DK bongo drum.
Yeah.
Has anybody beaten Dark Souls with Hey Siri like voice commands? Hey Siri.
Oh wait, no, they have.
Yeah.
They have. There's a
I
guy who
think
beat
so.
it with
Yeah.
text to speech or speech to text things, where he was like, roll, turn left,
Yeah,
attack,
I remember
attack.
this.
Yeah. I saw only a clip of it, and it's him being Ornstein and Small.
Wow.
Smow.
I always say Smo.
Smewy. Ornstein and Smewy.
Smelly.
Smewy.
We you Stewie Griffin all of a sudden.
What's that?
Get away from me, fat man.
All right, that was some fruitful discussion of
Yeah.
this fidget spinner.
Oh shit! Did we get listener submissions this week? Sorry, skipping ahead.
Oh,
Yeah.
we got a single
That's
one.
exciting.
We got one.
We got one.
We have-
Do you want to
submission.
skip to it?
No, I'm fine.
Whoa.
Oh wait, yeah, we have to have the next regular section on the
Have you
show.
guys ever been like haunted by a demon?
Sandy asks a question.
No,
Oh
just
right,
the
we have the
theme
theme
song,
song,
yeah.
right? And then it ends with yeet.
That yeet.
That one. Yeah, it's that one this week.
Yeah.
That's the one. We got it. Pack it in, boys. Work here is done.
Okay. Answer
Your
the
editing
question.
on the last one was actually phenomenal, by the way.
Yeah, it was good.
Also, the slowed down yeet whenever I said my last name, I forgot about it when it was. I was like, "What the fuck was that noise?" And then we talk about it later.
yeah.
I was like, "Right."
I figured people would
Oh,
hear
very
it
good.
and be like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Excuse me?
Whose yeet was that?
It is yours.
Oh, it's mine. Okay.
Slowed down as I requested. Really artisanal audio work by Matt.
By Matthew. Yeet.
Oh man.
Okay. Have you ever been haunted by a demon?
Not that I okay, so when I hear haunted by a demon, the first thing that comes to mind is sleep paralysis. To which I could say,
Oh.
I don't think so. There is maybe
I had one instance of it.
I think I've maybe had one, but I don't know if it was sleep paralysis or if it was something else.
Well, let's hear it and we'll decide.
I woke up on my side, so imagine I'm laying on my bed and I'm facing where my computer is over
Right,
here.
Yeah.
Just a wall of mirrors, a wall of black mirrors.
Ooh.
Bleeding black.
Yeah,
mirrors.
that's bad for hallucinations.
Yeah.
This doesn't play well in audio, but basically my bed is against one wall in my bedroom, and I was laying on my side such that I was facing the opposite wall.
And there's a big sign that says Matt's Lovin' Zone on the wall, by the way.
I like the cam girl lights too.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I can't plug them in
That
right
one's
now
not
because,
a joke.
yeah, no, there are Christmas lights hanging off my
Yeah.
my vinyl shelf. I can't plug them in right now because the outlets are all used. It's used by the AC.
AC,
yeah,
yeah.
it sucks. Anyway,
That was because you're subscribed.
Well, when it's Christmas, you don't. When it's Christmas, you don't need an AC.
I
so
guess
it's a good trade-off.
That's how you know. Yeah, that's how it's regulated.
Okay,
Anyway,
let's hear about this demon.
Okay, so I woke up on my side and was facing the opposite wall, and yeah, it was just this weird thing where I woke up once, and it was almost like a false awakening, except that I went from the false awakening straight into being actually awake this time. I woke up and Yeah, I just for some reason, I don't know if it was I couldn't move or if I just chose not to. I was just kind of laying there, like I just woke up, and then I had a hallucination of somebody just walking into my room, and then passing by like right next to me. I didn't know who it was. It was just this tall, shadowy figure, and then just like that, I snapped out of it and woke up for real. It was really bizarre, but the transition from false awakening to real awake felt seamless. Like I was just all of a sudden, I had all my faculties, and you know that kind of like fuzziness that you associate with a dream, where it's very obviously not real. Like it doesn't have the same fidelity. That went away, and suddenly it had the fidelity that real life has. It was very bizarre. I don't know if that was sleep paralysis or not. Anyway, that's maybe the one time I've possibly been haunted by a demon.
Okay.
Yeah, I had a similar experience with my like sleep paralysis. Maybe I definitely didn't have like as an intense experience as I've heard some people have, but I had one where I was laying like on my back and my head was kind of like propped up by the pillow, and I was kind of looking at the foot of my bed, and there's like in my bedroom there's like a bit of light that comes in through the window, so everything was just like lightly illuminated, and in the kind of the terrifying bit of the experience was like a bunch of like shadow like spiders started crawling onto the bed and like crawling up towards me, and at this point I was like conscious enough that I was like trying to yell, like I was like and it actually came out like that, where I couldn't move my lips because I was like still asleep, but I was trying to scream. And I was like
I have a mouth and I cannot scream.
And then my girlfriend, who was sleeping beside me, like takes her arm and hits me and says like, shut up. Right? And I like wake up from that. Right? And I go like, oh. And she's like, what? And I was like, I was having a nightmare. And she was like, oh, I'm sorry. She thought I was just like making a joke or something. Right? But like I was like having this terrifying nightmare. And she was like, shut the fuck up.
It wasn't spiders, it was symbiote. You were gonna turn into Venom, dude.
But yeah, so
Demon
that's
spiders.
the demon.
Yeah.
So I'm haunted by that demon, and also the demon of my shameful memories of my past.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, that's the demon on everyone's back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Wait, how old were you, Matt, when this happened? Like, how
It was
long
fairly
ago?
recent. Like it was probably a year ago.
Okay,
if I had to
and
guess.
yours?
Mine was like 6 months to a year ago or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah. These were recent.
I recently, I don't know, I've always had this in the front of my mind for some reason. Or like, I've known about this and I've remembered it clearly. But I recently thought about this time when I was like 6 or something. And I was sleeping, my mom was out of town, so my dad was sleeping beside me. And I was looking up at a ceiling fan, and the ceiling fan was kind of hanging low enough where something could like sit on it.
Okay.
Okay.
The distance between the fan
And the ceiling.
Okay.
Yeah.
right.
So it was hanging low enough.
Right.
So like something could sit on it, and someone did sit on it. Like, and this was a recurring thing. But like I clearly remember the episode when it last happened. This man was sitting there. Like I could see him clearly.
G-Man.
I will describe what he looked like later. Okay. But this man was sitting there, and like he was trying to like talk to me, and I was talking to him as well. And it wasn't like he wasn't saying creepy things. It seemed like a very normal conversation.
Was he like spinning on the ceiling fan?
No. The fan was off. It was
Okay.
wintertime, I think.
Oh, okay.
The fan was off. It was just like, I remember, now that you bring that up, I remember having the same demon haunt me a time before the one I'm talking about. And I turned on the fan and he disappeared.
Wow.
Like,
Weak fucking demon.
I don't, no, but here's the thing. I got up to turn off on the fan.
Yeah.
And I could still see it. And then I turned on the fan.
Yeah.
And then it went away.
Right.
Limp dick demon.
Yeah. Yeah, well, once you...
My one weakness, minor gusts of wind.
I'm foiled again.
To him, it's an earthquake because he lives
Fair.
there.
Yeah, that is.
I called him Fan Man.
I mean, you were 6. You
Yeah,
couldn't
I was
come up
6.
with a better name.
Yeah, no, well, I was into Batman.
Fan Man, yeah.
Nemesis is Fan Man.
Yeah.
Have you seen some of the Spider-Man villains, dude? There's one that's just called Big Wheel.
Yeah, I know about Big Wheel.
Oh, who was it? There's. I recently found someone who rewrote a bunch of fucking Spider-Man comic strips, and like one of them is like there's this guy with a big ass fucking gun, and they just start calling him Gunman, and it's like Spider-Man's chasing Gunman, and he's like, "Get back here, Gunman!" And he's like, "No way!" And then he goes, "Damn it, a brick wall, my one weakness." And he goes, "Wait, I can use my gun," and he just blows up the wall. It's ridiculous. Anyways, back to Fan
I thought he was
Man.
gonna point the gun straight at the ground and then go up.
like the soldier.
Yeah.
So yeah, this guy, this Fan Man, one time, my mom was out of town. For some reason, she went out of town very rarely. And so I was looking at him, like paying attention to him, make sure he doesn't pull any funny business.
Right.
And he jumped. So I was looking up. I was laying back on my back. I was looking up at him, and then he jumped to my left. But what I saw was him wearing like a business suit, holding a briefcase. Oh
shit!
Son of a demon.
And like fading away into more to the left of me. And he faded away.
Fading into my dad. And then suddenly I realized Fan Man was my dad. And I've been living with Fan Man.
You spoil the story because
really?
I turned to wake up my dad and it was Fan Man.
Oh my god.
And
I realized, well, free, you know what he said when I woke him up? He said, "Is this what your dad looks like?"
Oh god. Fuck, that's terrifying. God. Jesus Christ.
And I woke up and then I went outside and my dad was like in the living room doing something.
Right.
It was like in the middle of the night. I think some of my uncles were visiting.
Oh god.
They came over from like a late train or something. So he got up to receive them. But like, okay, now I'll describe what he looked like.
Okay.
His face. Imagine Inspector Gadget.
Wait, the live action
cartoon?
or the cartoon?
No, the cartoon.
Okay.
But the face,
that's even creepier.
The face is less. The face is more plantain-like.
Okay.
In shape.
Right.
And the eyes are like big and red.
I hate this.
And the pupils are almost as big as the eye. You can barely see any red because they're all black.
I hate this.
And he's wearing like nightwear, like matching striped nightwear.
Okay.
So pajamas and a shirt.
Yeah.
He does. I don't. Did he have a nightcap? I think he might have.
Jesus.
So this guy haunted me when I was a kid, and that's my haunting.
That's fucking terrifying.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Jesus
I hate
Christ.
that. I hate that. Although I've had similar experiences, but they were never like personified. Like as a kid, I had a reoccurring nightmare of like a portal that existed on the wall beside my bed, and it actually made it so I think for like 3 years of my childhood I would not sleep facing the wall. Right. It was like this weird thing because I had this like nightmare that happened one night, and then I like was like, I'm never facing the wall again. And then the next time I faced the wall, which was like a few months later, it like happened again, where it was this like terrifying. It didn't even like it didn't do anything. It was just I would wake up in the dream and I would just stare into this terrifying vortex in my wall, and I was like, damn it, I did that thing where I slept facing the wall. Better not do that for 2.5 years.
There was a hole here. It's gone now.
Yeah.
And now you'll notice my bed is not against any wall if you go to my room.
The thing is, I never even watched any Inspector Gadget at that age. Okay, I don't know how he popped in to my head.
I guess it just he happened to look like
maybe your memory's just back.
And then I watched Inspector Gadget and also The Critic. He looked like a cross between the two.
They look like similar characters.
Yeah, they look similar.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for spoiling my story, though, Logan.
I'm sorry. I was just saying because I was excited, but I'm sorry I spoiled your story. I didn't realize that was the end.
That was my question. You guys got any questions?
Oh, right. We all do questions.
Oh, no.
Shit.
I forgot
you don't have to.
That. The supplementary questions if you happen to have
questions.
I just happened to remember my question this week.
This was a good question. And didn't have to do with death. It was still terrifying, but it wasn't death related. So great job. Digging ourselves out of that hole.
I did have a recurring nightmare also of me climbing up a really ungodly long flight of stairs and going up to like see someone who's over a table, and then on the table it's my own dead body.
Eesh.
That's similar. I was terrified of the infinite staircase in Mario 64.
It's spooky.
Yeah, it's a spooky staircase.
But then the feeling when I had that nightmare was like something's incredibly close to my temple, like this. Like
Oh, and you like reckon it's not touching you. But
it's not touching me, but I know something's
Yeah,
there,
yeah, yeah.
and that's the feeling that I had while I was climbing those stairs.
Yeah.
I had a recurring, I don't know if you would call it a nightmare because it was such a short experience, I guess. But I remember having a recurring thing when I was younger where I would be in the dream, but it would be the first or the second floor of my house, like here, on the landing by the stairs. And I would approach the top of the stairs and look down, and it would be the middle of the night. And so it would be like very dark. You could kind of see the moonlight coming through the windows downstairs and through the front door, but otherwise very dark and hard to see. But then at the bottom of the stairs, I'd be looking down, and then a figure would just appear coming out of like where the kitchen is, if you can imagine that.
Yeah.
And then he would kind of like look up, and then he would then start running up the stairs towards me, and then I would snap out of it.
This is great. I can't wait to go to sleep tonight. I cannot wait to go to
What did
sleep.
the figure look like? Just a shadowy figure?
It was just again a silhouette.
I was gonna ask, just don't describe him in detail like Sandy did, please.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
I
want to sleep. I really
sweet,
want to
sweet
sleep.
dreams, everybody who's listening.
I had that.
Welcome to Nightmare Cast.
I don't know why. Like I saw Inspector Gadget, I'm like, that's this fan man.
Yeah. That just tends to happen in dreams, though, where
Yeah.
you think, man, it would be really spooky if somebody like ran down this long corridor or something, and then it happens, and you're like, oh well, fuck.
Have either of you kept a dream journal at any time in your life?
No.
I've written some dreams down, and I'm actually in the middle of interpreting some
Cool.
of my own.
Because there was a period about 2.5 years ago that I recorded my dreams for like an entire summer, and it was a really cool experience. I recommend it. I didn't keep with it because it does take a lot of commitment.
Yeah.
Like you have to once you wake up, you have to go right. I have to get up and now write down, and you have to kind of get yourself in a weird writing mood. But what you get out of it is like, I just have this weird journal with just a bunch of summer dreams in it now. And it led to me like lucid dreaming for the first time and only time in my life was just like writing down your dreams, which was cool.
It's something I've always wanted to do, but I've just never committed the time to it.
Yeah.
The movie Waking Life got me to do it.
Yeah.
That Richard Linklater film about a guy dreaming. It's a cool exercise.
Yeah, for sure. The other recurring dream thing I can think of, because I don't know, I didn't really have any like recurring like nightmare thing when I was a kid besides that.
Yeah, besides that.
Yeah, besides that. Which again is like it's not like a full like nightmare experience.
Yeah.
It's more just like, oh, here's a thing here's a common thing that sometimes happens.
Yeah.
But one thing that still happens to me, and it's not really a nightmare thing. It's just a dream thing. The same way that, dreams about falling or dreams about your teeth falling out are common for a lot of people. Kind of in the same vein as that.
Right.
I've had dreams where usually near the end of the dream, I'll go to jump over something, or I'll try to like vault over something, or just do something like relatively normal. Maybe it's like walking downstairs or something. It could be anything that is typical. But then it's almost like somebody like really decreased the gravity in like a Gmod map or something.
Right.
And I just like travel like 30 feet into the air all of a sudden, just straight up.
Right.
And I'm like reaching the apex of my jump, and I'm like, oh, this is gonna feel weird. And then I start falling down, and that sensation of falling wakes me up. It's a really weird thing.
So Matt, what's your question? I asked mine.
Wait, what was your question?
Do either of you keep a dream journal?
No, I don't think
Snuck it in there. I asked the question.
Get out of here. You ain't shit.
Smaui.
Guys ever had false awakening dreams?
What?
It's dream. You set the tone, and then okay. Want me to ask another question? Let's see. Okay.
False awakening?
Also, yes, all the fucking time, and it sucks.
No, never.
It's very rare for me.
I hate it. It's like one of my most of my dreams are false awakening dreams.
Really?
And it sucks because most of them aren't exciting. I'll wake up, I'll go through half my day, and then I'll wake up again, and I'll be like, okay, am I actually waking up? And then I go, okay, and I go through my day, and then I wake up again, and I'm like, fuck, I had to live through the same day like 3 fucking times. And like back.
But then you can play out the events that day.
No, because they're always different, and I always make plans with different people on each dream wake up. So then I end up waking up in reality going, fuck, what the hell are my plans for today? Like, I've actually had a few days where I phoned up someone and said, like, hey, like, are we still meeting today? And they were like, we're we're not meeting. And I was like, fuck, it was a goddamn dream.
This is a real logistical problem.
Yeah,
I've never...
it's only happened like 3 times where I actually had to phone someone up, but it was just like,
really,
yeah, it's brutal.
Really?
It's the worst. I hate it.
I don't think I've
It was
ever...
really bad in high school. In high school, I would like go to fucking classes and I would like have conversations with people, and then I would reference those conversations in real waking life, and then they would be like, "What the fuck are you?" Like they would be like, and I'd be like, "We talked about this before," and they'd be like, "No, we didn't." And I'd be like, "I'm a fucking crazy person, apparently."
Yeah.
Look at me, whoop de doo doo, and then I'd fly out the window.
Smell you.
Smell you, and I would just like zip out the
Sound
window.
like Borat. Smell you.
Yeah.
That is crazy. I don't think I've ever had my dreams affect my waking life in such an explicit way like
It's
that.
the worst. It's not. I do not recommend it.
Yeah, no, I'll be sure to not ever do that.
Yeah, just don't do that.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Fuck that. Oh man. Right. Okay. I have to come up with a real question.
Or like a lighter question.
A lighter one.
Yeah.
Like
Because it's kind of my responsibility to ask a question anyway.
what's your favorite season?
Winter?
Probably summer. Sticking with the OG answer.
Fall for me.
Fall's a good one.
Well, if we had 4 people, we'd force them to say spring.
You only get one.
Yeah.
And then it's taken.
Just get
Yeah.
a new co-host from Miami, and they'll say "Spring break, motherfucker."
I think if summer wasn't my favorite season, then I think it would be fall.
You like summer, and I'm sitting here in a puddle of my own sweat, dying, and I look at you like
I
you're this
noticed you
insane
guys are
human.
looking kind of clammy.
Yeah, and I
not.
wore like light clothing
That's just my
aside from
skin
the
color,
jeans.
Matt.
Sorry. A little bit. I'm seeing like a little bit of gleam.
I just have oily skin.
Oh god.
Okay. Well, yeah, it's fucking hot in here.
All right, we made it past question round. Good job,
Yeah.
everybody.
Oh, there's a user submitted question, right?
I don't.
And we
think
have leftovers.
Does my false awakening answer count or question count?
yeah, I'd say that counts.
Yeah.
I'll try to come up with something better next week. Hello,
right.
laptop. Please turn on.
It ran out of batteries.
Do we want to go over the leftovers? I know which one I want to address.
Should we?
Yeah, I read the first leftover and I was like, really?
Should we?
Because I downloaded it and I played it I played around with it on the train home last time and I was like, yeah, this isn't good.
Should we?
Well, I mean, it wasn't good because of the reason you talked about.
Oh, okay.
Okay, well, should we do leftovers now or save it till the very end because we're gonna get more mileage out of the submission for this week?
Okay, let's do the
let's do
submission.
submission.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll do the submission then we'll move
That
on
was
to
just
leftovers.
some foreshadowing.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah,
That's what we call
foreshadowing.
it.
That was-
I'm a professional storyteller now.
That's some sequence breaking.
Yeah, that's my new job.
Yeah,
title. Storytelling
okay.
guru.
This is a non-linear podcast.
It's hyperlinked.
Yeah, indeed.
We're gonna release a version of this podcast in Twine, and you'll be able to play through the choose your own adventure version of it.
Yep.
All right.
We got one user submission or listener submission.
Thank you.
For this week. Thank you for writing in. We were going to stop promoting submissions because nobody was really writing in, but just in case you're listening, we'll do it this week because something was submitted.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, we'll do it anytime someone submits a thing.
Yeah.
yeah. Otherwise, we probably won't bother.
Please submit.
Otherwise, we'll vamp.
There's a very good chance that anything you submit will be on the show, and we will talk about it at length. And I will say, I love you, Air Bronco 2000.
Yep. That's
Air Bronco 2000.
that's who
Air Bronco
got for this
2000.
week.
I love you so much, and you truly are a great human being, and you have worth, and you are a valuable human, not just in monetary value, but in in emotional and truly metaphysical, and you just have value as a human being, not just for existing, but for what you put into this world. I love you so much.
And that's going to wrap it up for submissions for this week.
Coming
on the
it's the
leftovers.
Italian stallion, the
Yeah.
Bronco.
All right. So if you do want to send something in, podcast@quizzicalpixel.com. You can also tweet it at @quizzicalpixel or put it in our Discord server. Thank you, Sandy.
I'm going crazy.
All right. So Air Bronco asks if you could recommend any indie games. What would be your top 10 indie games? 10 is a lot.
This is the hardest question anybody could ever.
Just 2 or 3, Logan.
Okay.
10 is a lot, so I suggest maybe 2 to 3 each.
Splinter Cell Chaos Theory.
Oh god. Oh, it's the best answer. Oh man.
Good lord.
Oh Jesus.
Should we? Who wants to go
Worms
first?
Armageddon.
Excellent. That kind of is an indie game. Honestly.
Line Rider,
No, that's not my recommendation. The second one isn't. The first one is.
RuneScape.
I do like Chaos Theory.
Fucking chaos
None of these are
theory.
indie games.
It's so fun. RuneScape. Oh wait, no. Yeah, RuneScape kind of is. They don't have a
Kinda.
publisher.
Yeah.
It's just Jagex. They're an independent company.
Is Minecraft an indie game?
Yep. Not anymore.
Not
But it
anymore.
was.
Yeah.
So
At one point.
Get
was made
a
by-
hold of the alpha for Minecraft.
Minecraft was another indie game that was kind of, was praised for being, here's another example of indie
Yeah.
games breaking through and there being a great market for this thing now. And then it became this enormous thing that was too big to fail.
Yeah. Too big to fail.
Well, I mean, it's kind of
Minecraft is.
it's kind of tapered off now,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
you know what I mean. It
Well, no,
just
it's-
became this phenomenon.
I don't know. Crossplay on Minecraft is now a thing, which is kind of cool.
I think
that is
Microsoft is
cool.
making good use of Minecraft and like teaching kids how to code through Minecraft.
Yeah.
That
There's a
is
lot of
cool.
really
It's a cool
cool
thing.
stuff happening with Minecraft.
That is a really neat thing that I'm glad is happening.
Yeah, and I'm like.
Anyway, my favorite my favorite indie game is
My favorite Fortnite. my
You
my
fucked
favorite
that joke
Fortnite
up
is
I know.
completely.
I fumbled.
Yeah.
I tripped on the way into the room. On
Someone
that
should
one.
make a food-based Fortnite called Fork Knife.
Plus, I already made that joke.
Wait, did you?
No. I didn't make that joke. I made the joke of mentioning a non-indie game
Okay.
Fair enough.
with a game that's so specific.
Guys, actually, Fork Knife is such a good fucking idea.
Fork knife.
Yeah, fuck.
We should probably.
The thing
answer
is,
this
there's
question.
already. It sucks because there's a Fortnite clone made where you wear pots and pans as armor,
Oh.
Is that
but it's not called Fork Knife, which is
No,
ridiculous.
we should do Diner Dash Battle Royale and call it Fork
Oh, that's
Knife.
also good. Ooh, yeah.
How would that
Fuck,
work?
I want Fork Knife to be a thing so badly. Okay, sorry. What are your top 3 indie games, Matt?
this is a tough question for me also. I'm gonna go ahead and say Hollow Knight.
Okay.
Hollow Knight's going on that top 3 for sure.
Alrighty.
It's something I've talked about before, so maybe in some ways I didn't need to add it on this list, but
I mean, yeah, it's good to have it there.
Yeah,
At
any-
what
any
position?
excuse
1, 2, or
to-
3?
One.
it honestly might be one.
Okay.
Yeah. Any time that I can give praise to Hollow Knight, I
Yeah.
will. It's an outstanding game.
Yeah, but let's say in no particular order. 3
Yeah.
games. Yeah.
Sure. Let's say
So Hollow Knight 1.
Hollow Knight's on
One
one.
the best. I will die on this hill.
Number 2. God, maybe we should.
Should we go around and say 1, 1, 1,
Yeah.
2, 2, 2?
Jesus, I don't have
That's
any
what I
indie
was
games.
thinking.
I don't play indie.
I'll say my 1.
Oh, I got one. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, cool. So my number 1 is kind of a cop out, but I legitimately think it's a phenomenal game and really a masterpiece in the whole sense of the word. I've sunk so many hours into this game, and I still love every bit of it. It's what?
Is it Braid?
It's not Braid.
Oh,
Braid is a great game, but it's not even on my top 3. I'd say it's probably in my top 10, but it's not
Okay.
not in my top 3. This is like my number 1 indie game that kind of got me into like diving into mechanics and kind of understanding and getting excited about how game mechanics work instead of just going, this game feels good. Instead, kind of trying to dive in and understand how these things work together. And it's Spelunky. Spelunky is the greatest indie game. This is my number 1 best indie game all time, Spelunky. No doubt about it. Such a phenomenal game. Yeah, so that's that. Everyone should play Spelunky. Spelunky 2 got announced, and I nearly shit myself.
It's crazy that they're making a second one.
What the fuck? I loved Spelunky so much, I read the book that the creator wrote about it.
He wrote a book?
Yeah, it's a great book too. Yeah, and he outlines like how the random generation works, the entire how it's like how the daily challenge came about. Super cool. Okay,
that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
I thought it was like
Yeah,
based
Derek
on...
Yu is also a pretty good writer, and he also ran the Indie Game Source, which is a big and still a big indie game website where a bunch of indie game creators go. And he was like basically the head mod of it for a long time, and the entire forum kind of rallied around him making Spelunky, which was cool. All right, Sandy,
Ollie Ollie 2.
that's a good game. That's Welcome to Hollywood. I
Yeah,
think.
Welcome to Hollywood.
Yeah. Oh, it's a good game.
Play
I
it.
love 2D
It's good.
skate. Very
Yeah,
good.
it's really good. Great music.
Yeah. That added like manuals to it, right? and
Yeah,
stuff?
yeah. It's got manuals, it's got grinds. It's got
Fuck, man. Ollie Ollie's
everything.
actually such a good game.
Ollie Ollie 2.
God damn.
That's one of my 3.
Did you play their shooter game that they released?
No.
It's pretty good. It's like a 2D cover-based shooter, which sounds like it wouldn't work, but it works super well. Okay. And if you like Ollie Ollie, you'll probably like that. It's like fast-paced. It's pretty hard, though.
Okay.
That's the only problem. But, yeah.
You think I'm not a real gamer?
Well, no, it's just like it's hard in frustrating ways.
Oh, okay.
Like,
I'm not a real gamer in that way. Then.
Yeah. And I did a stupid thing where I played it when it was first released, and I like did that stupid thing that I do where I go, I got to beat this on the hardest difficulty through the first time. And I did it all, and then they released achievements afterwards, which is the only way I find self-gratification in this world. And it didn't have backwards compatibility for everything I did, so it looks like I've done nothing in that game, but god damn it. Matt, number 2.
Number 2, I realized that I'm probably going to listen back to this while editing and then think of like 10 other games I rather would have put. But anyway.
That's leftovers for next time.
Yeah, so this game that's definitely not as good as Hollow Knight.
but still really good. I would say number 2 is going to go to Papers, Please.
Ooh, god damn it. Yeah, I'm so glad you said it because I wasn't going to put it on my list because I wasn't thinking about it, but I should have put it on mine.
Papers, Please is a phenomenal game.
Yes.
I played it, I think, 3 years ago now. God, time moves fast. I played it while on vacation, actually, which is a very odd time to play it because it's a very dreary game.
Yes.
But I love how the way that game tells its story through its mechanics, and how the narrative unfolds by you just being in the checkpoint the entire game, and how the decisions you make directly intertwine with the events in the world and in this fictional Iron Curtain country, and how everything is interrelated in that way. And just the pushing papers around gets surprisingly addictive. It feels satisfying to be able to run through all that, to get used to it and to run through it quickly. Yeah,
I'd say that Papers, Please is a phenomenal argument for the idea that games don't have to be fun to be engaging.
Yeah.
Right? I think Papers, Please is not fun in any way, but it's like gripping as hell.
Maybe fun is not the right word.
Definitely not. Well, that's why I think engaging is a better word.
Yeah.
Right? Is that you become invested in the passport office that you're in, but like looking over sheets and stuff isn't necessarily fun in any intrinsic way, and definitely the setting is not fun, right? And like the in-between scenes of like that stark your father is dead right God,
it's very bleak. Something I can't remember where I read this. It might have been like a Reddit comment or something, but somebody pointed something very interesting out about the theme music for that game. I don't know if this was intentional or not on the part of Lucas Pope, but it's interesting that the main theme for Papers, Please starts out very slow, and it's a march. It's very like, it starts out kind of sparse, just dun 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 dun, and then as the theme goes on, it gradually gets more instruments and becomes more and more complicated as it goes on, much like how the game starts very simple and then gradually becomes more and more complicated.
I'd say that's a stretch. I think it's just like most songs do a thing and you like but most games also do that. That's just kind of how media works.
I like to think that it was on purpose though,
because it's like, oh man, you know how like
it's a good reflection.
It's incredible how every movie introduces its characters.
I was about to say, you know, in Romeo and Juliet, you start with one character and then they meet another character, and then by the end, some of the characters die, so there's like less, which is crazy. Yeah, I'd say that suits the level of analysis I expect from a Reddit comment.
Yeah,
I liked it.
Yeah, no, I mean it works well for that game as well, because you do kind of get this, and eventually it kind of becomes overwhelming. Like I could say, like that song ends up becoming kind of overwhelming at a point in it, and I think that kind of stance on it could be an interesting mine. But yeah, Papers, Please, fucking great poll. Holy shit.
Good job.
Also, he's working on a new game. What was his first name? Lucas Pope. He's releasing a game called Return of the Obra Dinn.
I'm very excited for that game.
So excited for that fucking game. Oh my god.
He posted some stuff on
the Indie Game Source, actually.
He posted some stuff there recently about his how he got the rendering to work.
Yeah. He also posted recently about how he's working on the sound design in it as well. He spent like a month and a half just on sound.
Really?
He was like, I didn't program anything in the game except for sound this month. And I was like, that's cool. He bought like a whole keyboard and stuff for it. Super cool dude. And he like lives in Japan, I think. He's
I didn't know that.
Cool dude, yeah. He also, there was this thing that happened with indie game developers at one point where they were all posting their workstations at home, and people were posting like their ones by the window and stuff. His one's just in this like sparse room, like a very simple table and like a single laptop, and it's just like, this is where I work. All right, so my second game. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing that Matt did, where I'm going to think of better, and I'm already thinking of better games, but out of just like sheer love that I have for this game, and a love for how it like opened me up to kind of how mechanics can tell a story without telling directly a story, and how that can be weaved within an interesting confluence of game ideas. And that's The Binding of Isaac by Edmund Macmillan, especially the like 17 expansions that he's released since then. It's a game that I just find infinitely replayable. This is kind of a theme between this and Spelunky. Both games I feel like I can always go back to and enjoy and kind of just hang out in and just sit around and just, oh yeah, I'll just play this character and just have a fun little time. Like I'll just play the Spelunky Daily Challenge like once a month, and I'll play like a run of Binding of Isaac once in a while, right? And I'll just like hit random on the character and just play a run until I die and then just go and do something else. It's just kind of like a comforting game, even though it's about child abuse. Yeah, I'd say Binding of Isaac is really up there. I love that game so much. Really, really, really great game. What about you, Sandy? Number 2.
Hotline Miami.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good game.
That's a good one.
Good pull.
Yeah. Again, the music's great.
Mm-hmm.
It's fast. It's
Horrifying.
easy to understand. The controls are really simple, but like you can do some cool shit with the doors and throwing things, and it's fun.
I fucking love the tone of the original Hotline Miami as well.
Yeah.
Just the surreal nature of it.
Yeah.
God, yeah, that's a good choice.
Yeah, I think Hotline Miami is a really, really good choice. Yeah, I don't have too much to say about it. I think it's just a really solid game, and I think it got so much said about it when it released, and I think all of that stuff still stands. Like even the negative feedback, I think is valid. I think it's like a purely contentious game, and I enjoy that about it. I'm glad it exists.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Doesn't hold back.
yeah, and it's like it's very open about its flaws as well. Like it's not a perfectly like polished game. It's definitely like it chose to do some things in a way that's like, or maybe it didn't choose, but it does some things very imperfectly. But I think that just adds to the charm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I prefer that.
Yeah. All right, number 3, definitely worse than Hollow Knight and Papers, Please, which honestly, yeah, I could see a lot of games being worse than Papers, Please.
This is really tough. I'm torn between a few choices, and the problem is that I'm struggling to think of indie games that I've played like way in the past, and I'm only the ones that I played in recent memory are coming to mind right now. We're gonna have a lot to cover in the leftovers for next week.
I think I'm just gonna rattle off a few.
Yeah, honestly. Yeah, because there's a few that I don't think belong in my top 3, but I still really appreciate them because they, like I was going to say Subnautica. That's definitely not...
Yeah, Subnautica is a great game.
Subnautica is definitely not in my top few for a number of reasons. But it's maybe... It's probably the most immersive game that I've played in recent memory. And it's also a game, an indie game that I think captures a particular experience that I don't think any other game has, like just that being in the ocean, and just the curiosity and fear that comes with going deeper into it. I'm not gonna add that to the list though. I'm gonna say Furi.
Oh, cool! I haven't played Furi, but I've heard good things.
That's probably the most throwaway answer I have. Like I'm
high praise.
Yeah, I'm very solid on Hollow Knight and Papers, Please. Less so on Furi, but it is I do really like it a lot. It's got really, really good combat. It's just I don't know. It's again, it's kind of what you said about Hotline Miami. It's a game that definitely has some rough edges to it. It's not a perfectly polished game. But I think that again that adds like some charm to it. And it has like one of the most engaging combat systems I've experienced in a game. I really like the replay value that comes from playing it on the harder difficulty once you beat the base game. The bosses are really interesting in their own right. The music is kick-ass.
It's like Bullet Hell Shadow of the Colossus.
Yeah, Yeah, without the scale of the
Yeah.
Colossus battles, but yeah,
But it's got the same like interlude scenes where you're just like walking through a place, right? Or something.
Yeah,
Where it's
yeah.
Like, it feels like from what I've seen of that game, it seems to take a lot tonally from Shadow of the Colossus.
I can see that,
and then
yeah.
like puts it through like a cyberpunk neo,
for sure,
like, lens.
Yeah, very what's the word that people use for stuff like that? Outdrive? No.
Outrun.
Outrun.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's very Outrun.
Aesthetic wise.
It's got, you got Carpenter Brute. I think Perturbator, I think, has a song on there as well. Yeah, a couple of artists you might know who specialize in that genre of music. But yeah, it's just I love that game's style. I think above everything else, the combat and the style. It's just a really kick-ass game. I don't know if it would be in my top 3.
I'd say
if I could think of a it's still a good choice, but I don't know. I would, if I had more time to think, it might not be there, but
Fair, yeah.
but it's still a very solid game.
Cool. So for number 3, I'm going to do a deep pull that I'm picking mainly so that more people know about this game, and also because it's one of the very first indie games I've played. It's freeware, so you can play it. You'll probably be able to find it once I say the name. But before I say it, I'm going to just list off a bunch of games that are really good. You should play everything by Davey Wreden, so that's Stanley Parable and The Beginner's Guide. You should play Lisa the Painful. I talked about it on last episode. You should play it. It's great. You should play The Witness, also Braid, but I feel like The Witness is better. What else? That's all that I got off the top of my head, but those would all be in my top 10, especially Lisa and especially The Beginner's Guide. Those are 2 games that have made me like solidified in my argument that I think games are a very significant art form. Not just that games are art, but that they are like a powerful and interesting art form, and something that very few other mediums, or that no other mediums, can achieve in the same way as those experiences did. Even though The Beginner's Guide really is just a fucking walking movie, I don't think it would work as any other medium. And so in that way, I think it's an incredibly landmark achievement. Also Cave Story. People should play Cave Story. It has like 70,000 re-releases, but damn, it's good. It's a fucking great game that has such an amount of depth in it that comes out of fucking nowhere. Also one of the first indie games I ever played. Anyways, the actual game I'm going to recommend is a game called Within a Deep Forest. Within a Deep Forest is a Metroidvania, actually, made by the guy who made Knit and Knit Stories, which I think I talked about on the first episode I was here for, briefly. It's a game where you play a ball. You play a bouncy rubber ball who is blue, and you are dropped into the middle of a deep forest. And the entire game is you bounce around this forest. There are no enemies. It is purely exploration-based for the Metroidvania.
I remember this. Yeah.
The game is the most calming and yet also infuriating experience I've ever played. And how the Metroidvania works is you discover new materials for your ball to be made out of, and you can switch between them at will, with I think 4 different buttons, and you get like a glass ball that can jump really far, but if you hit something too hard, you shatter. And you get like a super bouncy ball, you get a metal ball, all these other things. And it's like a mechanic that I've never seen before, never seen since, and is executed perfectly, and is incredibly unique, and just a wonderful experience that made me. This came out way before indie games like made it, and was the thing that convinced me that indie games are interesting and they're going to go places. And this is unlike anything I had played on like the PlayStation 1 or the PlayStation 2, which was what I was playing at the time, was like just big console games. And then once I had gotten a computer that had internet access that I could use regularly, I found like Stumble Upon, that little plugin that you get for the browser. Yeah. And I just put indie games on there because I was like, okay, let's see what games people are making. And I stumbled upon this thing, and then found the rest of this creator's games, and by extension ended up finding Cave Story through this as well. And yeah, this was kind of the gateway drug for me getting into independent games and really game development as a whole. Very cool game. Highly recommend everybody play it. I don't remember how long it is, but I don't think it's over like 4 hours. And yeah, any computer can run it, and it's super cool. Highly recommend Within a Deep Forest. Sandy, last game.
Flower.
That's a really good pick. I would pick Journey.
No,
but
I like
Flower is good.
I like Flower.
Flower's good. Yeah.
Because Flower was the first game where I wasn't killing something.
Fair, yeah.
And it was fun.
Yeah, and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's such a beautiful game. Thanks, That Game Company. All right, on to
Leftovers
leftovers.
for next week.
Leftovers.
Yeah. All
Turn
right.
on that music.
I don't have it.
You piece of shit. You said.
You piece of actual
I'll put it in
garbage.
post.
Yeah, but I
was in
like
post
I like
last time.
listening to. Oh, was it?
It was.
Yeah, it was.
last time.
Oh, okay.
Also.
Never mind. Okay, leftovers.
fine.
The nice music's on, but we can't hear it.
Next week or next time we record.
Yeah.
There'll be nice music for us to hear. Yeah. Tube of the Mask is actually all right, according to Sandy.
Yeah, I mean, the ads aren't as invasive as I thought.
Okay.
Do you disagree, Logan?
I think I do. I played like probably an hour of it, and I think like 30 minutes of that was watching ads.
That wasn't my experience.
Okay, because it seemed real bad.
Wait, you're on Android, right?
Yeah.
They might have different ads.
Possibly.
That's very
Maybe.
possible.
Yeah, because there was a shit ton of ads. It was like before and after every level I had to watch an ad.
But I feel like it made me pace myself. Like, I would
Yeah.
come back to a level, like, when I'm bored, but, like,
No,
it would just keep me away from Twitter,
fair.
basically.
You know what? I say that's a win.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It sucks because the game is really good.
Yeah, I
Like,
just
I
want to
think-
mention it because I don't feel like we gave it a fair shake last time we talked.
Yeah.
So I just want to say that if you're interested in that kind of a game or pace or whatever, give it a shot. If the ads are too much, there's actually a remove ads function that's not the Diamond membership.
Oh, is there?
Yeah, $149.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
that's all it is?
Yeah, so the Diamond membership, you can get extra.
What the fuck? I'm gonna buy that on my bus ride home.
Yeah, yeah. So you can the Diamond membership gives you like masks that you can wear that
Yeah.
grant you different abilities.
And it gives
in
you
the
like
level.
currency in game as well.
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
think,
So
every week or-
20% increase in the coins you encounter, stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Fuck.
And a bunch of coins also come with the Diamond
Fuck.
membership, but you can just remove ads with 149.
Shit, I'm gonna fucking do that because that game's very good.
Is that
Super
game better
fun.
now?
Oh,
so you can buy
absolutely.
it?
Yeah, because the ads were super pervasive.
Yeah, yeah,
like,
yeah.
really rough.
I
And
think I
was
might buy
like,
it too.
I was thinking about buying the week-long membership just to try and play as much of it as I could in the week, and then just cancel the subscription.
Have you tried arcade mode?
I have not. I bounced off it pretty hard because I was
Yeah.
like, damn, this game's fun, but I hate watching the same like Clash of
Yeah.
Clans fucking ad every
Arcade
fucking time.
arcade mode's pretty good too. You just keep going up.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah,
oh,
so
that's
it's
awesome.
like it's randomly
yeah,
generated.
yeah. That's sick as hell.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh man.
So give it a shot. Tomb of the Masks.
Tube of the
Shit, yeah.
Mask is... It's all right.
Yeah.
It's a cool looking game.
I'll endorse that game now. I'll say that's a cool game.
Yeah.
'Cause fuck, man, that game was super good.
And then the only other piece that I have here, which kind of relates to some of the horror games we talked about last time, Call of Cthulhu got a release date.
Oh yeah, the video game adaptation.
The new video game adaptation of
Yeah.
Call of Cthulhu is going to be out October 30th
Ooh, that's a good release date.
from Focus Home. So yeah, all you streamers out there,
Halloween streams, man, they know, man, that marketing department.
Yeah.
They
Halloween
released it
stream.
the day before too, so that they can all preload it. Fuck.
I hope they execute it
Oh, that's
well.
brilliant. Wait, is the 30th like a weekend? Maybe is that why? Maybe it's so that people can do pre-Halloween streams.
It's like a
Well, that's
Friday.
exactly. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. Is
it Friday?
It's in the middle of the week. It's a Tuesday.
Oh, that's weird. Okay, well then,
But
it must just
Halloween
Be, yeah, it must
is-
just
yeah.
be the Wednesday.
Like,
stream.
here's my Halloween stream. Oh,
Yeah.
Call of Cthulhu came out. That's a new game.
I hope that game's good because Call of Cthulhu
Yeah.
is hard to.
Cthulhu is, or any Lovecraft is very hard to do, but I feel like games have a lot of potential to do it well.
Because you're able to change the perception really easily. and, like,
Exactly.
trick the
Yeah.
player.
And hopefully not boil it down to run from the monster.
Yeah, that's that formalist realist
The fucking
argument.
most
yeah.
dumbed down,
Yeah.
lowest common denominator.
Although you need
horror.
a bit of the run for the monster. That's part of Cthulhu. a bit
Yeah,
as
I'm
well.
not saying it's a bad thing.
Yeah.
I'm just
There's a
saying
bit
it's.
of
I'm
running
just
from
saying
the
it's the
monster.
worst adaptation of Lovecraft.
Yeah.
It's just completely changing the appeal of it. Anyway, that's all I got for leftovers, and that's all we've got for this episode. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having us in your ears, listener.
Thank you for talking about games with me and other things, and sometimes books. Apparently,
Yeah,
yeah.
I still love you, Air Bronco 2000.
yeah.
We will talk to you on the next one. Farewell.
See ya.
Bye. Smell well.